Okay, here are the answers for the learning opportunity 7A.10, the one with the riddle, what do you call a duck that steals? The slope on number 1 is 4/3. Number 2, -2. If you have -2/1, that's fine. But we should put these slopes in simplest forms, and if they can be represented as an integer, that's what you would typically do. Number 3 is -3/5. And if you have -3 over +5 or 3 over -5, that's the same as -3/5. 4 is 3, or 3/1. 5 is -1/4. 6 is 0. Horizontal lines have a slope of 0. 7 is 2/3. 8 is -1/3. 9 is 2/5. 10 is -3/4. 11 is 1/2. While I have your attention, I'm going to stop at this point and say, when we get through all of these, if you have them all right or mostly right, you will not need to continue to watch the video to see how they're all done, but I will have a video going over every single problem. So even if you missed just 1 or 2, you might want to scroll through the video to find the ones you missed to understand why you missed them. And also, let me just also say that on these kind of assignments, whether they're notes or learning opportunities, if you have an answer bank, the answers at the bottom, whether or not you're doing the riddle, you should be looking for those slopes to see if they're on there, because if they're not on there, then something went wrong. It gives you a chance to, it's called self-assessing. You can find your errors as you go if you're looking at those possible answer choices. Number 12 is -6. 13 is -3/2. 14 is 5/3. 14 was on the video. I think 13 was as well. So keep watching those, the help videos that are on the blog. 15 is 4. 16, the slope is 1. 17, -4/7. And 18, -7/2. And the answer to the riddle, what do you call a duck that steals? A robber ducky. AROBBERDUCKY. Well, we'll go through these in case there's one or more that you want to get the feedback on. If you don't need the feedback, you go right ahead to the next Nearpod slide and start on the notes. But even if you only missed one of these, you could scroll forward on the video to find the one you missed. I'm going to do them all right now. I'm going to go from A to B. I'm going to write delta y over delta x. And the change in y from A to B is 1, 2, 3, 4 up, so +4. The change in x is 1, 2, 3 to the right, so +3. That's why 1 is 4/3. 2, I'm going to go from A to B again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down. So delta y is -6. Delta x would be 1, 2, 3 to the right, so +3. That simplifies to -2. 3, delta y over delta x would be -3 for y, for the change in y, +5 for the change in x, so -3/5. Number 4, delta y over delta x. I've been going A to B, let's go B to A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down, and 1, 2 left. -6 over -2. Negative divided by negative is positive. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So it doesn't matter which 2 points you choose or which point you start with. If you're careful with your changes, representing the changes as positive or negative, and then understanding your integer operations for division, you'll get the right answer either way. Number 5, delta y over delta x. 1 down, so -1. 4 to the right, so +4. So -1/4 for number 5. Number 6, well, that's interesting. Oh, I got confused by the x-axis. That looked like my line, but I see my line is down here. If you recognize that a horizontal line has a slope of 0, you could just write the answer. But if you didn't recognize that, even if we did delta y over delta x, when I go from A to B, y is not changing. So the change in y is 0. I haven't moved up or down at all going from a to b. The change in x happens to be 5, but it's irrelevant what the change in x is. If 0 is my dividend, then my quotient is always 0. 0 divided by anything is 0. Number 7. Now these are the ones where we didn't have the graph, but it's still just delta y over delta x. Just for consistency, I'm going to start with the first y value and subtract the second y value on all of these. So 1 minus positive 3 over 2 minus positive 5. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. 2 minus 5 is negative 3. And negative divided by negative is a positive, so 2/3 would be the slope for 7. Delta y over delta x. I hope that you see I'm writing it every time. You should write it every time. I mean, I don't need to write it every time. I can just look at these and tell you the slope. But I'm trying to show you the format that will help you internalize this practice, so you can get to that point too, where you can just look at 2 points and tell the slope. Until you get that, until it becomes automatic for you, you should be writing it down. 2 minus negative 1 over 9 minus positive 3. 2 minus negative 1 is 2 plus 1, so 3. 9 minus 3 is 6, so this one is a half. 15. Delta y over delta x. Negative 8 minus 0 over negative 4 minus negative 2. Negative 8 minus 0 is negative 8. Negative 4 minus negative 2 is the same as negative 4 plus positive 2, because subtracting is the same as adding the opposite. And that would be negative 2. And negative divided by negative is positive, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. So 15 is 4. Number 8, delta y over delta x. 3 minus positive 5 over 8 minus positive 2, so negative 2 over 6, which is negative 1/3. Yeah, I'll take care of it on the notes. Okay, number 12, delta y over delta x. 8 minus positive 2 over negative 5 minus negative 4. 8 minus 2 is 6. Negative 5 minus negative 4 is the same as negative 5 plus 4, so negative 1. Positive divided by negative is negative, and 6 divided by 1 is 6, so negative 6 for 12. 16, delta y over delta x. Negative 3 minus 0 over negative 3 minus 0. So negative 3 over negative 3 is positive 1. Oh no. Oh no. It's kind of too late for me to fix this. It's never too late to fix something, except I've got a week's worth of these lessons to make. So listen, I hope you notice that what I did was I cropped. They didn't go in order like reading a book with these numbers. So I think you probably, if you're looking at the problem number, you see how I'm doing them. It goes 7, then 11, then 15 in that row. And so I'm doing them by the numbers as they appear on the page. I can't imagine that wouldn't have been obvious as you're following my work, but I would have actually, if I would have put them in numeric order, moved them around, it probably would have been even more confusing. So, all right, number 9, delta y over delta x. Negative 4 minus negative 2 over 1 minus positive 6. So negative 4 minus negative 2 is negative 4 plus 2. And 1 minus 6 is 1 plus negative 6. So you end up getting negative 2 over negative 5. Negative divided by negative is positive, so 2/5 is the slope for number 9, 2/5. Delta y over delta x, -1 minus -7 over 0 minus +4. -1 minus -7 is -1 plus +7. 0 minus 4 is -4. So you end up getting 6 over -4. 6/4 simplifies to 3/2, and a positive divided by negative is negative, so -3/2 for 13. 17, delta y over delta x, 5 minus 1, 5 minus +1 over 2 minus +9. That's 4 over -7, also known as -4/7. 10, delta y over delta x. 1 minus +4 over -3 minus -7. 1 minus 4 is -3. -3 minus -7 is the same as -3 plus +7, so that's +4. So number 10 is -3/4 for the slope. 14, delta y over delta x. -1 minus -6 over 1 minus -2. -1 minus -6 is the same as -1 plus +6. And 1 minus -2 is the same as 1 plus +2. So you get 5 over 3. That's the best form for that slope. You really don't want to represent that as a mixed number. The whole idea of a slope is it's a ratio of the change in the vertical position to the change in the horizontal position. So it's much more meaningful as 5/3 than as 1 2/3. You would never see it represented as 1 2/3 or as a decimal. 18, delta y over delta x. 0 minus +7 over 0 minus -2. 0 minus 7 is -7. 0 minus -2 is the same as 0 plus 2. So -7/2 for 18.